As someone that had kind of, sort of, a little bit of a passing interest in how this league shaped out, oh man, was the speculation a lot better. Now listen, I don't want to exclusively rag on the promotion. Going against the UFC is like climbing Everest backwards. I thought the production was fine for the most part. Getting my dude Goldie back in the booth was great. But I do gotta say, when I want my promotion to be taken seriously, the first thing that I would do is call Brendan Schaub.
It's like a chocolate chip with sauce all over it? What are you talking about?
Secondly, this promo video is one of the cringiest things I have ever seen in the MMA space, and think about how much real estate that covers. What on earth is this AI-generated trash? I get what they're going for, and I agree, MMA fighters are the gladiators of our time, but there is such a thing as too much. This is a blood sport, not Jesus.
Go for Jesus! Not forget Jesus, people!
What I was hoping for were a couple of UFC names that still had some value, mixed in with the top independent names in the business. And instead we got Frank Mir, who hasn't fought MMA in 6 years. We got Alexei Oleinik. I love the boa constrictor, but he is 47 years old. We got Paige Van Zandt, I guess. We got Tony Ferguson. God fucking help us all. I think this whole show casts an even bigger light on the issue of fighter pay in the sport. I also think GFL's approach wasn't really the best. I get really tired of these diet soda companies who won't stop throwing shade at the big name in town. You are not sending shots, you kind of just sound like an ex-girlfriend. Diet soda has its place in the world, but listen, we all know AEW isn't overtaking WWE, just like we know GFL isn't competing with the UFC. So play to your strengths, focus on what you have, and build stars for the future, rather than throwing pebbles at a Mack truck.
The first overall selection in the 2025 GFL Draft, Dubai selects welterweight from the United States of America, the chosen one, Tyron Woodley.
You want to talk about setting a tone? I have no idea what their drug testing policy is, but if it's USADA, this might be the most hilarious first-round pick in sports since the Raiders took Jamarcus Russell.
The second overall pick in the GFL Draft, Los Angeles selects lightweight, Sage Northcutt.
Sage? Second overall. I mean, listen, I get the appeal, and the guy has potential, but are you really telling me that Tyron was the best fighter on this roster and that Sage was the second best fighter on the roster? I also know geographical location plays into these picks, but come on.
Third overall selection in the 2025 Draft, London selects from the Netherlands, the Dreamcatcher, Gegard Mousasi.
Even the commentators mentioned he should have gone number 1 overall, and guess what? It's because it's true. An actual top-tier fighter outside the UFC that isn't old as shit or on some huge losing streak. These are the guys you build things around. How much time does he have left, though? That's the question.
Fourth overall selection in the 2025 Draft, Miami selects heavyweight from Brazil, Junior dos Santos.
God bless Junior. I hope he's getting paid well. He isn't completely finished. He's only 40 years old somehow. But in fight years, he's about 85. Seeing him get 1 or 2 more classic KOs on his way out is all I could ever ask for. Knock him dead, Junior.
Fifth overall pick, Sao Paulo selects from Brazil, Fabricio Verdun.
Outside of Sage, it seems like all these first-round picks are more about team captain. In those terms, Fabricio is an excellent pick. As an actual fighter at this point in 2025, I mean, he might have a chance. I mean, he's 47, but even in his most recent fights, he hasn't been getting clobbered or 50-45. It's just kind of been split decisions and whatnot. Fingers crossed, I guess.
New York selects lightweight from the United States of America, the Motown phenom, Kevin Lee.
We finally figured it out, you guys. We finally found out where, in fact, Kevin Lee fits into all of this. He's 32, but he feels much older than that in fight years. But hey, his most recent performance was pretty good. He's had a taste of retirement. Maybe this is him giving it 120%. I guess time will tell, but I'm rooting for him.
New York selects, from New York, middleweight, the All-American Chris Weidman.
Oh, shit. Man, I thought he just retired, which is already like 5 years too late. Chris, I love you. We all do, but why? Why are you doing this, pal? It's crazy to think that had Weidman retired after the Rockhold fight, we would remember him as one of the greatest middleweights of all time. I'm trying to get through this whole segment without making an eye poke or a spinning back kick joke. Ah, well, I tried.
Eighth overall pick, Sao Paulo selects, middleweight, from Brazil, the phenom, Douglas Lima.
Ooh, actually a good pick. Lima was one of those kings of the indies, if you will. Guys like him and Andrei Korshkov were known as some of the best fighters not in the UFC. I will say, if it's this location dependent, why not just assign fighters or announce the rosters ahead of time? I guess you gotta drum up buzz somehow. Shout out Mac Malley.
With pick number 9, Miami takes lightweight from the United States of America, Anthony Showtime Pettis.
There was a time in history where Anthony Pettis was 18-2, lightweight champ, and the Michael Jordan of MMA. Then he lost to RDA, fell in love with wrestling, kinda got away from what made him him, and never really regained that magic that he once had. I'd love to see this dude go out and land a flying scissor kick off the cage or showcase his elite jiu-jitsu. Is it too late though?
London selects lightweight from Sweden, the Mauler, Alexander Gustafsson.
Remember when Gustafsson was a split decision away from beating Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title? Or when he got robbed against John Jones the first time for the light heavyweight title? I'm just saying, there's an alternate reality where he holds wins against
Black Fedor
and Lance Armstrong. But getting his knee shredded by roid-enhanced oblique kicks in the second Jones fight really did mark the end of his career, or at least it really should have. Guy couldn't move like he used to, and all of a sudden he's getting subbed by Anthony Smith. By the way, that whole debacle was 7 years and 5 straight losses ago.
With the 11th pick in the GFL 2025 draft, Los Angeles selects Aspen Ladd.
See, picks like this one, Gegard, Lima, even Kevin Lee for that matter, this is what the draft should have been focused on. Less 47-year-olds and more actual prospects that show potential. Aspen's fought just about everywhere there is to fight, UFC, Bellator, PFL, Invicta, now the GFL. All that experience might help make her a big fish in a small pond.
Dubai selects welterweight Abu Bakr
I read about
Nurmagomedov.
A Dagestani that isn't undefeated. I call cap. Nonetheless, up in the mountains, those dudes only sleep about 30 minutes a night and dream about their fight plan during those 30 minutes, before waking up, going outside, and shooting double legs on trees. Never really a bad pick with that last name.
London strawweight from Sweden, Josephine Knudsen.
Josephine's a good example of a building block pick. She's only 29, never been finished, only one loss, good kickboxing record, just solid all around.
I selects middleweight Derek Brunson.
Brunson's a nice pickup. He might be 41, but he's 6-2 in his last 8, which doesn't really scream over the hill, at least to me it doesn't.
Los Angeles selects lightweight Tony Elkakui Ferguson.
Which, speaking of, Tony, I love you. Please retire. I don't have anything else to say.
And let us not forget, at pick 16, Yoel Romero.
Yoel is ageless. Yoel sees your over-the-hill allegations and spits in their general direction. I fully expect him to win at least 3 fights by decapitation via flying knee, followed by a passionate speech about Jesus.
Don't forget Jesus, people.
Sao Paulo selects undefeated welterweight from Argentina, Carlos Petruzella.
Petrozella's an undefeated champion, solid pick, although he does have a suspicious amount of canceled bouts. What's all that about?
New York with the 18th overall pick. Women's bantamweight from the United States of America, the preacher's daughter, Holly Holm.
And I've always felt Holly Holm should have retired after the Amanda Nunes fight. She should have won the featherweight belt against GDR, which would have made her the first woman to win 2 UFC belts. And losing in a valiant effort to the GOAT would have been a perfect way to end things. Instead, here we are 6 years later. Maybe we get one more head kick KO? Or maybe it's a lot more decisions where nothing happens.
The 19th overall pick in the GFL Draft, New York selects Melissa Amaya.
Amaya's a Combat Global staple. She's undefeated, another good building block pick.
20th overall selection from Argentina, the undefeated Camila Reynoso.
They actually spelled Reynoso's first name wrong on the broadcast, which is hilarious. Camila's from Samurai Fight House, which is probably the coolest name for a promotion I've ever heard.
And then Miami at pick 21, women's atomweight from Russia, Natasha Kuzatina.
Kuzantina's an Olympian in judo, who also has experience in a couple different promotions. Although she fights out of American Top Team, so if I had to bet my life on it, she probably fights like every single other American Top Team fighter.
Pick 22, London selects featherweight, the Pikey, Brett Johns.
Johns' achievements as an actual martial artist are very impressive. Black belt in BJJ, black belt in judo, brown belt in Muay Thai. Gotta figure he'll get that black within a few years. He was actually undefeated until he got backpacked by Aljo. Never been finished in his entire career. I guess we'll see how it goes.
Los Angeles, 4th round pick. is an all-time bantamweight. You know him as the California Kid, Uriah Faber.
I want to remind everybody Uriah Faber hasn't fought in 6 years, and when he did, he took one of the worst beatings of his career that didn't involve leg kicks. I hope he's doing all this for the love of the game and that he finishes out his career with as little damage as possible. Just make sure Petr Yan isn't anywhere near him. Jesus Christ.
Dubai selects heavyweight from Russia, the undefeated Ali Isayev.
Undefeated heavyweight sounds great at face value until you realize he's fought one time in 5 years, in his only Bellator fight, where he fought to a unanimous draw, which never happens, with Steve Mowry, a name I literally made up just for this video. That's not true, but let's be honest, if I did, you wouldn't have known. Heavyweight is an old man's game, though, so being 41 matters about as much as T. Wood's rap career.
Oh, I'm so in love with you. Oh, I'm so done with you.
As far as stragglers or free agency, if you will, Luke Rockhold looking like he did in his last fight worries me quite a bit. Frank Mir, Arlovsky, Olenek, this shit should be classified as elder abuse. I don't know, pulling as many fighters out of retirement as they have, PFL GFL Tour continues ahead as scheduled, seemingly destined to become the Impact Wrestling of the mid-2000s of MMA.